Welcome, guys. This is the Alumni Series with the Whitby Warriors Junior A Lacrosse team. This is episode 2. This is a series where we go over and we talk with players and past coaches who have spent their time in the organization. Today, I will be talking with one of the greatest coaches to ever be part of the organization, Jeff McComb. Jeff has been a part of the organization for over 25 years. He has been a player coach with his time with the team. Jeff has taken his passion from being on the floor to being behind the bench at Iroquois Pad 1, where he has successfully won 4 Minto Cups with the team in 1997, 99, 2011, and 2013. And after he completed that, he decided to go to the NLL, where he has won 3 championships with the Edmonton and Saskatchewan Rush. So welcome, Jeff. I'm very excited to host this. And you ready to get started?
Absolutely ready to get started.
Perfect. So, just got some general questions for you regarding lacrosse. When did you start first playing?
I was 3 years old when I first started playing. I don't think I had much of a choice. I have a picture of my great-grandfather on the 1912 Fergus Thistles team that I still have up in my study. So I think I was a 4th-generation player, and my son Benjamin is a 5th-generation McComb player. So we didn't have much choice. We kind of got handed the stick and said, here you go.
Nice. So that answers my next question. You were 3 years old when you first started playing. Nice. So I know that you were a player. You spent many years playing. Why did you stop?
I tore my knee up and tore my ACL and a whole bunch of other ligaments in my knee after my 4th year junior. And I did it again when I was at Canisius, not too long after that, down at the NCAA level. And despite having the surgeries and that, I was never able to get back kind of exactly where it was. So I tried for a couple years to get back, but I kept having some issues. So finally I stopped, but I said I still wanted to be involved in the game. So I looked for ways to stay involved, and that kind of was where the coaching came in.
Nice. So in spite of the pandemic and everything that's happened, and in regards to your lacrosse career, what has been your biggest accomplishment in the game?
I think it's easy to say the championships and that, I guess, but just being part of the game and continuing to enjoy it and have passion for it and stay committed to it. I think this time off in the pandemic has showed us how much we miss the things we love. And, certainly the game and everything that surrounds it is, one of the biggest things that I do miss, and that competition on a daily basis. So, I think accomplishment-wise, you could say the championships, but I really think it's the people you've been involved with is kind of the biggest accomplishment in those relationships that you've taken out of it.
Yep. So now I got some questions for you regarding your coaching career when you were in Whitby. So what was the duration of the time that you were a coach in Whitby?
Wow. So 1995, I started with Jim Bishop, assistant coach with him. And I coached with him. Bish passed away, unfortunately, in around Labor Day of 98. So Bob Hanna and I took over the team the next year for 99. And we're fortunate to have a bunch of passionate kids that really wanted to cement Jim's legacy. And we're really Jim's kids. And, Bob and I can say now we look back on it and, we didn't have to do a lot that year. They were pretty motivated and won a Minto Cup and was maybe one of the better junior A teams I've ever been around, that 99 team. So, and then 2000 assistant coach as well, and then 2001 I went back and coached the midget team in Whitby, and then in 2002 against probably my better thoughts and wishes, I coached both the midget and the junior A team. I came back and took over the junior A team as the head coach in 2002 and did the midget team that year, and that was the Zach Greer, Kyle O'Brien group there. So I had those group of guys, Matty Carroll, Jay Winder, Matt Savoy. I think there were 6 or 7 of them that I had for 7 years total. So, and then 2000, after the 2007 season, I think myself and the executive, I'd been there 5 years as a player, and I think at that time, 95, 12 years as a coach, 11 or 12 years, I think we decided it was probably better for a change for the organization. So we stepped away, and I was about to have my first son at that time, so it made sense. But 2000, I was away for 2008 and 2009, but kind of 2010 rolled around, and Bob Hanna and the executive came back to both Derek Keenan and I and said, hey, do you guys want to do this together? And Derek was kind of in the same boat I had been. He was coaching the midget team because his son Ryan was still a midget, but wanted to get involved with the Warriors because he knew that's where Ryan was going to end up. So we took over the team together, kind of made a pact that we're going to do it together. And it was there till 2015. So I think all told, between player and coach, 25 seasons, with the 1 season or 3 seasons being off there that I didn't coach, 2 for my son, and then the 1 where I just coached the midget team.
That's a great career to have.
Yeah, 25, I think, altogether. Great. It doesn't seem that long. It went by really, really fast when you look back at it. Never seemed like it was that long.
Wow. So during the 25 seasons, minus the 3 that you weren't a part of the team, what was your role as a coach?
I think it changed. I was the head coach for 7 of the seasons, I think. I was an assistant coach, certainly a young coach, learning under Jim Bishop, where, you're just there to soak up and do whatever was asked of you and learn. After Bish passed away, I think I had to take on more responsibility with Bob and myself, transition into head coach role. And then when Derek and I went back, the role kind of changed again, right? Where kind of, was the guy who ran practices and ran the bench for the first couple of years when Derek was still doing the midget stuff. And then kind of morphed into more of an offensive coordinator type position in the latter years with Derek. So kind of all different roles throughout the 25 years.
Wow. What is it about your coaching career in Whitby that made you decide to go coach in the NLL?
I think, as a player, you always want to play in the best league and play pro. And I think as a coach, that was kind of there too, right? You have a motivation to get to the highest level you can get to. And, I was fortunate enough. And then, I think through contacts through the Warriors with Terry Lloyd and Bob Hanna and that type of thing, 2001, the Buffalo Bandits asked if I'd be the assistant coach there. So I went there for a year. And then this is where I first met Derek, was in 2005. Derek Keenan was coaching the Anaheim Storm and asked if I'd be interested in the assistant coach's role there. And that's kind of led to, a long-term relationship with Derek. I think somebody asked about this not too long ago, and I think it's between the summer seasons and the NLL seasons, I think we've coached 17 seasons together. So that's been a long-standing relationship, obviously. It's worked out fairly well, I would say, for myself.
And I would agree on that. Excuse me. So transitioning from coaching in Whitby. Apologies, Jeff.
No problem.
Transitioning from coaching in Whitby to Edmonton when you started coaching with the Rush, what is it that you took from what you learned in Whitby, and how did you apply it when you started coaching in Edmonton?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that, the way we ran our program in Whitby, we practiced 3 or 4 nights a week. So with a junior A program, you're doing a lot more teaching. You have a lot more time to work on kind of skill development, where in the pro league, it's really, you're in 1 practice a week, you're playing. It's more of a video breakdown. It's more of a, what can we institute for ourselves type thing, as opposed to systems, as opposed to developing skills. So in Whitby, we had a lot of time to work on skills and system development. So we're able to take kind of that system that we started to develop in Whitby and bring it across to the NLL in Edmonton in 2014, I guess it was.
Wow. What was the transition from Whitby to out west like?
I did both for a couple of years, right, where we were doing the NLL and Whitby. So that was always fun, where you never really seemed to get a break. So, which was great in one respect and tough in others. But really, it's 2 different kettle of fish. Like, you're coaching men on the one hand with NLL stuff, and again, it's mostly system stuff. You're in it once a week, where you're really trying to kind of develop kids and give them skills and add things to their resume as you're doing it in junior. So we've always said, one of our things is like, focus on the process, not the outcome. If you focus on the process and kind of skill development and getting better, the winning and everything else will take care of itself. So that's one of the things we've tried to do in both places.
Nice. What was your role in Edmonton?
Offensive coordinator, which I've had in Edmonton and Saskatchewan. So Derek was always really, really good with us, and his assistant coaches, where he let you kind of have your role and develop your role. And own your role, and he kind of stayed out of your way for the most part. So it gave me a really good opportunity to work with our old guys and develop our own offensive system and kind of ideas. Then he let me run with that. So that was great.
Nice. Transitioning from going from the province of Alberta to the province of Saskatchewan. So when the team moved from Edmonton to Saskatchewan, what was the transition like?
Yeah, we didn't know how it was going to go, to be honest with you. We just won a championship in Edmonton. We had like 12,500 people in the building for the final game in Edmonton. And, we thought we were heading in the right direction in terms of getting fans back in the building there and developing a fan base. So moving to Sask, it was an unknown. And obviously, Saskatoon's a smaller place than Edmonton or a lot of the bigger cities in Canada. So we wondered how it would work. But when I was talking about this the other day with a couple of guys, Bruce Urban, who's the owner in Edmonton and now Saskatchewan, that was his vision. And obviously he had the right idea because it's really worked out well in Saskatchewan. I think we opened with around 9,000 fans for our first game, which was awesome. And it just built from there. And I think we averaged still average about 13,000 fans a game. So the support there and the atmosphere, and it's the kind of number one game in town, makes it an amazing place to coach and play.
Nice. When you moved from being in Edmonton to Saskatchewan, did you have to adjust your coaching style at all?
No, we had the same group, so it was great. We basically just took our group, picked it up, and moved it to Sask, and we had a championship team. And then we won the next year, our first in Saskatchewan, we won another championship, so back to back. So that part was awesome. There wasn't much differences on the floor. Everything was off the floor that was different. New hotels, new flights, new arena, new everything. But the actual personnel on the floor and the systems and everything, we didn't change at all.
Winning that championship in 2016 in your first year, was that something that you felt like that it was well deserved for the organization, or did you just think that winning it back to back, it just made it the more better?
Yeah, winning you can never take winning for granted. It's so hard, especially that was a 9-team league back in those days, right? And every team was a really good team. So to be able to win it back to back, you never took that for granted. You knew that every night on the floor was going to be a difficult challenge or a hill to overcome. So I think it was a great foot to get off on in Saskatchewan, and to be able to bring a championship team and win a championship in your first year there was special. Did we ever take it for granted or think it would happen? Absolutely not. And I mean, it's hard to stay on top, right? And it's hard to win one, and I think it's harder to stay on top. So anytime you can do it back to back makes it doubly impressive.
Nice. All right, now I got some more questions about coaching that may require you to go into the deep recesses of your mind a bit, back a little bit. So why do you coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. I initially, I think, got into it because I loved the sport and I didn't want to get out of the sport. But as I got into it, I think the thing that I learned is I love teaching. And I love seeing, when it's younger kids, I love seeing them learn something new and get it and see the smiles on their faces and see the joy they have when they're playing the game. And at the top level in the NLL, it's the competition. You love the competition. You love testing yourself. Getting to see the best athletes in the world up close and getting to coach the best athletes in the world, it gives you a real sense of accomplishment and satisfaction.
Nice. What has been your favorite memory as a coach in lacrosse?
Yeah, I read this one. You kind of gave me a couple that you might ask me before, and I read this one and I was like, what's my favorite memory of coaching? Like, it's easy to go back to the championships and say championships, but I think one of the most unique ones when I thought about it was that year that we won in Edmonton, the first championship. So my first NLL championship, 2014, we win it in Edmonton on a Saturday night. I take the red eye home. I don't even stay for the party. Derek and I don't, because I had to be in Baltimore the next morning for my Tyke son's 10 a.m. game in his tournament in Baltimore. So going from the two juxtapositions of winning an NLL championship at the highest level of the game in front of 12,500 people and on TV, on TSN, to the next morning being in a small dressing room in Baltimore, kind of gave you, that the difference of the game, but how much you love the game, because it was just as much fun to be in Baltimore as it had been in Edmonton the night before.
Nice. Now I got some questions for you, Jeff, relating to you being congratulations on being named the head coach of the Rush. I'm sure you're pretty excited about that when the NLL can get back underway due to the pandemic. So now that you've been named the new head coach of the Rush, what is it that you're going to use that you've learned being a coach in Whitby, in Edmonton, being an assistant in Saskatchewan, and now being the head of the Rush in Saskatchewan? How are you going to take all of those years of experience and apply it to being the head coach of the Rush?
I think that's what you do, right? Like you learn, like if, as a coach, you want to be continually learning, trying to get better. So, I think one of the great things I've learned from Derek, X's and O's are important. The technical skills are important, but the culture and what you set for your goals for your team, the group you have around you, that's just as important. So all those things we want to continue. I think Derek's been a great leader in that. Bob Hanna, Jim Bishop, kind of the three main guys I've coached with over the year. They all brought something a little different to the table, but you want to take the best parts of each of them and kind of bring it to and be yourself and bring that to what you do as a coach.
Nice. So just to branch off of that, what are your goals for now being the head coach when the season does get back underway after the pandemic?
Yeah, coach a game would be nice, Lucas. I joke, I'm the first head coach ever to go 0-0 in their first year as head coaching. So hopefully we can get this off the ground. And, we really want to continue what we've done with the Rush. We've got a great group of guys there. We've got a great culture. We've had a great kind of run of success. And we'd like to be able to continue with that. So, people ask, what kind of changes do you want to make? Well, I don't want to make that. I'm going to be myself, obviously, but yep. I think I've been with Derek long enough that we thought a lot alike on a lot of different things. So I don't think there's going to be major changes either culturally or on the floor. So hopefully we continue in the same direction we are headed.
Nice. And just again, branching off of that, going in that same direction, how are you what are your plans now that you're at the helm of the team, especially your past experience as being the offensive coach in the Rush and staying with that same core of guys that you've been with since your days in Whitby? What are you going to do to help them win another NLL title?
Yeah, I think, we've hired Jimmy Quinlan back, who was with us earlier in our run. He's going to come back over and take the O, and Jeremy Talevi's staying as our D guy. And I think, one of the things Derek did really well was kind of let your assistants do their job. So we want to continue to do that. Let those guys bring their ideas to the table, operate as a group where we kind of have a collective decision-making process, which involves our players as well. We want to adapt with the times. Lacrosse changes, the coaching style changes, other teams come up with good ideas. You got to counter that. So, that's all part of the process. We've been doing some video work as a group here of coaches looking at things we might want to change a little bit or adapt to or continue to get better at. So we'll continue to work at that, and hopefully we get to camp in September, October, and we get to have a season.
That'll definitely be nice. I definitely know, speaking from experience, not having the NLL this past season or the past 2 seasons now has definitely not been fun. We've all missed a game for sure. Now I got some questions for you, Jeff, regarding the pandemic and in regards to that. So over the course of the past year, we've obviously been living in the pandemic. It has not been easy for any of us, especially now that you've been named the head coach. So just flat out, or I guess, what has changed, or has anything changed that you've done in order to prepare for being the head coach?
No, you kind of got right out of your rhythm, right? I'd done it for, I think, 14 years. So you get into a rhythm of how a season goes and how you prepare. And so this has kind of changed everything, right? So try to find new ways to go about learning. Read a lot in terms of leadership and culture just to catch up on that, because you've had some time to do that. Watched a lot of video, both our teams, other NLL teams, which maybe you don't have as much time to do. Watched a lot of field lacrosse stuff because we're trying to get ready for drafts and that type of stuff as well. So all those things are a little different because you just haven't done them that much before. As I said, we're having coaches meetings kind of on a weekly basis here, trying to prepare for the season, just go over some different things we might not have had time or thought to do before. A little bit more fulsome breakdown of games, but the games are getting a little old and a little stale now after you're watching the same ones over and over again. So we just like to get back at it at this point.
I bet. Do you think that the pandemic has taught you anything about being a head coach and having to put everything on pause?
I don't know if it's necessarily coaching, but I think it's probably taught all of us, because you get caught up, as I said, in your routine and in your game, and you've been doing it for 14 years. But I think it's really allowed us to step back and say how much you enjoy the game, how much you love the game, how much of a privilege it is to be a part of it at the highest level, how much you kind of miss that competition, that adrenaline rush. So I think we're all going to be more appreciative when we come back to it.
I totally agree. Okay, so now I got some fun questions for you, Jeff, regarding lacrosse as well as your time in Whitby. So hopefully these will be some good questions for you. So first question, can you describe coaching lacrosse in one word?
That's a good question. Joy.
Nice.
Go with that one.
What did you do with your cup? What did you do with your time with the cup in 97, 99, 11, and 13?
I could tell you, but I'm going to have to kill you, Lucas. Those are all still. Yeah. So I might have drank out of it a little bit. I might have had my one-year-old daughter, and the one after 2011 might have some pictures of that. Got to take it. I think after 13, I was coaching my son's team in West Durham, so we got to take it out and let all of the younger kids see it, which was pretty awesome. Took it to a couple family things, so all those kind of things that people normally do with it. So, and then some just time where it was around the house as well, which was pretty cool.
Nice. Was there a pregame ritual as a coach that you had or that you did before that you did every time before that you had a game?
I always like, and I think I'm going to have to change it as a head coach because I think I need to be seen a little bit more. But as the old guy, I never like to go out for first warm-ups. I like to stay in the coach's room and go over kind of my notes for the game and stuff we're thinking about running at the start and get my focus play set and go over any last notes. So I never generally watch the first warm-up. And then I'd usually come out for the second warm-up and watch that. But yeah, and I always like to use the same pen for the whole season. If I get a pen, I like to use that one for the whole season.
Nice. All right, now I got it. So one last question regarding coaching in lacrosse and your time in Whitby, but I'm not sure if you'll have to go back into the recesses of your mind again. At what point did you know that you would win the Minto in 97, 99, 11, and 13? What was that one moment that you knew that, yeah, we're going to win the Minto?
The first one I'll go through each of them. The first one in 97, not like we won in game 6 in overtime against Burnaby, and really that, like, up until Kevin Lunny scored the overtime winner, I think it was still up in the balance. So with the 99 team, May, they were so focused, like they were so good. Like I remember walking into, we had lost game 4 of the Minnow Cup to Burnaby, so we were up 3-1, and we've run the first 3 fairly handily and lost the 4th game. And I was walking in with Pat Jones, I remember, the rink that night. And I said, "How do you feel about tonight, Patty?" And I said, "Do you think we're going to get it done?" And Pat said, "Just like taking out the garbage on a Wednesday. It'll get done." And it did. That group was pretty special. 2011, 2013 were both, I didn't even know if we were going to get out of Ontario both times. Like both game 7s that we won in other teams' buildings in 11 and 13 could have gone either way. You know, we were down in 13. I think we won the game 9-8. So I think we were down 8-7 with 3 or 4 minutes left. And Mike McDonald scored the last 2 for us to win game 7 in Six Nations in 13. Same with 2011 in Orangeville, we were down heading into the 3rd period and got some big goals. Adrian Circetti, I remember, had one of them. So, and then when we got to 2013, when we got out west, it was pretty clear we were probably the best team there, and if we played our game, we would probably win. 2011, I think most people probably would have picked Coquitlam going into that. It was a 2 out of 3 series in 2011. And I think most people would have picked Coquitlam going into that, but we had some huge performances in the playoffs there from most of our guys to step up and win that one. So, Yeah, 2011 probably was like a lot like 97, where it was like you really didn't know you were going to win till, you're hoisting the cup. Where 99 and 13, once we got to the Minnow Cup, I think we had a pretty good idea if we played well, we would have a good chance to win.
Nice. All right, now I got some just more questions for you that are not regarding lacrosse at all, just some kind of questions regarding your personal life. So, what's your favorite musical act?
I'm a country guy, so I'll go with Garth Brooks.
Nice. Your favorite style of takeout food?
Ooh, any? I don't have to cook. Chinese, I guess. I'll go with Chinese.
Nice. What was your favorite who was your favorite athlete growing up as a kid?
I was a Daryl Sittler fan. Toronto Maple Leafs, Daryl Sittler. And then Wayne Gretzky when I was a little bit older.
Nice. What's your favorite way to relax?
Sitting, great question. When we were so busy before the pandemic with my kids' lacrosse, with pro lacrosse, with everything we were doing, my favorite activity was Saturday morning, coffee, my chair on my deck, looking at my pool.
Nice.
Because I didn't get to do it very often. So when I got to do it, that was my favorite activity.
Nice. That's always a nice way. And final question. What's your favorite style of vacation?
All inclusive, for sure. My wife will say camping. I'll say not a chance. My wife and the kids love to camp. I hate camping. So I'll go all inclusive.
Perfect. Nice. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the interview, Jeff. That about wraps it up. I'd like to thank you very much for your time out of your schedule to do this. I really hope you had a fun time reminiscing about your junior coaching days, playing days, and congratulations once again on your Minto Cups as well as your NLL titles.
Thanks, Lucas. It was great talking to you as well.